Well, hi, I'm joined by Don McMahon, an assistant professor of special education at the College of Education, and we will point out that Don, you will be an associate professor on August 1st, so congratulations for the promotion, first of all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so this is going to be a little different. You've joined me before on our college podcast, Education Eclipse, and now because of this novel coronavirus, the COVID-19, we're trying to reach out to people in a different way. Much of the time it's on Zoom. And so here we are doing video, and we're just two guys who really probably need to be on audio only, but here we are on video. Um, and the reason I wanted to, you're kind of in the same boat as I am. I mean, we are in our homes and our offices, home offices, and things like that. You can see behind me, I'm a big baseball fan, and you of course are a sports ball fan.
Yeah, I'm well known for my love of sports ball
Sports
and
ball.
mixing sports metaphors.
That's right. You have that sweet WSU Roar logo though behind you, and that's what I wanted to talk to you today about. So you stepped up and were made the interim director of ROAR, but you were also one of the co-founders of ROAR. So take us on a just a 30,000 foot overview of the ROAR program up until coronavirus, because you have adapted. You've had to mix things up, and that's kind of one of the things I wanted to talk to you today about is what you've done, what some of the successes have been, the struggles even. Let's get really raw and vulnerable here, what some of the struggles were. But first, I want to just take us through, your early role, and then you kind of step back a little bit and were in an advisory function, and then you were made the interim dean at some point in the recent future. So take us on that 30,000 foot overview.
All right. So I first started getting really interested in the idea of inclusive post-secondary education programs because I was a graduate assistant at one during my PhD program at the University of Tennessee, uh, and it was just amazing to watch the growth of our students who are all students with intellectual disability or autism, and to see the improved outcomes that they experience. Um, Most important one is most of our graduates from that program. We had a 80 to 85% employment rate for our students, which is much higher than the average for students with intellectual disability. And so when I came here, I worked with faculty here in the college, and we started looking for ideas. Brenda Barrio and I worked on getting the program started, and we had our took a couple of years to get momentum. We were fortunate to have a lot of support from donors, and we started the WSU ROAR program. And ROAR stands for Responsibility, Opportunity, Advocacy, and Respect. And those are major components that we wanted to emphasize to have a 2-year comprehensive transition program at WSU for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And we're in our second year of the program now, and it's been a pretty busy and exciting year, probably for all of us, regardless of what program we're in. But we have our students. We have a cohort that is just about to graduate, and I was asked to become the interim director early this spring semester, and um, we were planning on graduating our first cohort. Things were going pretty smoothly, and we had some, started to notice there on the news um, things in Seattle with COVID-19 were happening. And so, about 2 weeks before spring break happened, during our weekly staff meeting, I asked um, Katie Hirschfelder, one of our graduate assistants, who's been with the program since the beginning,
And doing a great
our
job, by the
digital
way.
literacy class,
Yeah.
to teach our students how to use Zoom and to make sure that they were able to do it. And sure enough, they took right to it. Her first class, she kind of talked them through how to use Zoom, and the second time they had the entire class uh, delivered in Zoom. You might have noticed they were all around Cleveland Hall, separate locations, together. A little bit of information ahead of time, and then
Yeah. So Don, let me ask you this. There are certainly other post-secondary education, meaning after high school, for those with intellectual or developmental disabilities. Uh, Before we get too much further into what you've done in response to COVID-19, what's the difference between this program and most of the programs? And certainly there are only a small pocket in the country doing what we do, and I believe we might be the first in Washington to have done what we did. But explain what the difference is between this program and other ones.
so uh, education programs for intellectual program.
And Don, I'm going to cut in because this is probably one of the downsides. Is I'm hearing something that sounds almost like internet connectivity getting lost or bad connection or something. I don't know if you're hearing that. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So that's that will certainly whatever you were saying. Let's just say that again, but then we can talk about that. That's one of the issues that we deal with.
Yeah. Uh, Especially for couple areas. The terms universe uh, and
Yeah. Okay. So we had about zero of that whole thing come through. Um, yeah, I'm not hearing you at all now.
no,
No, it sounds kind of like where all of a sudden it sounds metallic-y and cutting in and out. I didn't hear that.
let me try the other.
I heard only part of that.
Can you hear? So I
I
switched to the other mic.
I can hear
Is
you
that
now.
better?
Yeah,
Worse?
yeah.
Okay. Well, then
That's going away. Hey, this is going to be fun entertainment for everybody, actually. But let's chat about that. So let's whatever the question was about the difference between our program, and then let's dive right into some of the challenges, which are obvious. And we're two of the more tech savvy people in the College of Education, and we are not immune from some of these tech challenges. So
yeah, and doing tech support over the phone and calling someone up saying, "All right, what do you see in your on your screen right now?" And
and they
sometimes
say nothing.
nothing. I'm like, "Is it invisible? Talk to me." Yeah. So there's been some of that. All right, so going back to what separates WSU ROAR, or what's one of the features that's a little bit different than some of the other programs around the country. We are one of about 260 post-secondary education programs for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities around the country. And most of those are on the East Coast. Most of them are, about 200 of them are east of the Mississippi. And so they're definitely comparatively fewer out west. And we are a residential program. Not that many programs around the country have the option for on-campus housing for their students. But not only is it an option at WSU, it's a kind of core expectation. All of our students live on campus and university housing.
Okay, so let's talk some of the challenges, right? And this way we can end on a positive note with what's going well. So yeah, you have a digital literacy class that's part of of WSU Roar, and Katie Hirschfelder, I think, was the one who was teaching that.
Yep.
Um, at its core, I mean, you're dealing with students who have intellectual or developmental disabilities and may have some inherent struggles then with that, with things like technology, though some have taken to the technology really well. And here now all of a sudden they have to do everything online, right? So
Yeah.
talk about that struggle, and I gather that you are a little IT tech support, within the program, even though we have a phenomenal IT director and some help desk technicians within the College of Education. You're the one that's trusted, that they know, and so talk about some of those challenges that you've encountered.
Yeah. So as we decided to take roar and turn it into roar online with an exclamation mark, um, we added the exclamation mark just to make it seem happy, even though it didn't feel necessarily happy at the time, but we that was our strategy for that. So if you see roar online exclamation, that's why. Um, there were some of the major challenges. Our program has kind of four major components. The ROAR classes that we have specifically designed for our students: digital literacy, career and life planning, health and wellness, and independent living. Next up are the audit classes. So our students take every semester, they're taking two audit classes um, alongside their peers without disabilities here at WSU. And then we have internships, and we have, which are jobs that are either in the community or on campus that our students are gaining valuable work experience. And then we have the largest classroom that there is, the entire university experience. And a lot of that has to do with having social events and living on campus and all of that. Well, we could figure out how to have roar classes online. We're going to have to put everything into a learning management system, and we're going to have to, you know, teach our students how to use Zoom. And so we started practicing for that, and that went surprisingly well. Um, the audit classes are going pretty well too. Um, they're kind of hit and miss. The entire university is having, some challenges as teachers that have and professors who have generally taught face to face, possibly for decades, are suddenly learning to use some new technology and figuring out best practices for how to run an online class. But that's going pretty well, pretty good as well. The internships, you know, when much of the nation right now is and obviously and very sadly unemployed, you know, because we can't go to many of our places of employment. That was true for all of our internships as well, and all of our students are staying at home after spring break um, at their primary residences. So we had to find a replacement for that, and that was probably one of our bigger challenges. And so I asked Dr. Marcus Poppin to work with uh, our graduate and student Sam, who runs our career and life planning class, and they came up with some activities to find a replacement for those work experiences. And so what they're getting instead are pre-employment job training and kind of directed job coaching experiences as a replacement.
Yeah, no, and I can imagine how hard it really is. Just like a lot of different classes, but yeah, one of the key components of this, like any college student, really, is the ability to be away from home, to gain these experiences, and now these students find themselves back at home and not having those same kind of core experiences, but it seems like you are adapting rather well. So in terms of some of the successes, though, and obviously you touched on some of those as you were even rolling through the list of challenges, but talk about some of those successes, things that you have been pleased with, proud of, and so on and so forth.
Well, I think the biggest success is that fourth component, the biggest classroom that we have. the entire university experience. The way that the peer allies and Kira, so Kira and the peer allies, kind of like Jim and the holograms. We need like a 80s themed T-shirt with Kira and the peer allies.
And Kira, that's Kira Carbonell.
Yeah, um, she has done an incredible job. In the fall we had about 6 peer allies that were very active. Now we have about 60 to 70. And I think last night they went to do a virtual tour of the Monterey Bay Aquarium, um, and the night before they had a different one. And so um, that social aspect and finding ways that whether it's peer allies helping a ROAR student in a study hall or peer allies doing something social at night with our students. Really, that's I think been one of the most fun things for me to see. And when I talk to and meet with our students, that's one of their big takeaways from this. Just like whether it's a virtual bingo game with friends, or I played live team trivia last night as my social outlet with some friends back on the east side.
We should do a virtual online poker just so I could steal your money. Yeah, you know what? If you do it through Zoom too, you just turn off your camera so it's just the photo, and then you're like, man, that face, he's so stoic. He
That's a
doesn't.
good poker face, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
this has been awesome to hear some of these successes. Most definitely. Let me ask you this parting question, I suppose is, I've heard President Kirk Schultz mention a number of times that we have to definitely be versatile. We have to be able to adapt. We don't really know what the future holds, so we can't be 100% accurate prognosticators, but he's banking on being able to come back in the fall, right? And so as you plan, uh, is that what you're planning for? Are you planning for fall in person, as we had been before?
Yeah. So we're in the middle of admissions right now for um, this year's cohort, the upcoming year's cohort of ROAR students, and we'll be accepting our largest cohort ever. And we had to take a online process, a face-to-face process of interviewing and turn it into one that would work over Zoom. And we've had about 22 interviews, which is a lot. Um, and we got asked that question pretty much every interview. But absolutely, that is our current plan. And, I think we've had a lot of successes here, whether it's, um, one of the easiest ones, we set up a all day long Zoom meeting. And
That sounds terrible.
no, hear me out. The meeting stays open all day long, and our
Okay.
students pop into the room if they want to. They use it for their study halls,
Okay.
or they can just catch up with each other. And so sometimes after class, after one of their ROAR classes, you'll find 4 of our students hanging out, zooming in the rooms, and just having some friendship, catching up with each other, and that's one of the cool things that we've seen.
And you just come into Zoom bomb every once in a while.
Yeah, we did have to put a password on.
Good.
Yeah, we all learn by doing. So that was one of our things that we've learned. But we're definitely planning on being back in the fall, hopefully face to face. One of the things that we're doing right now to help out a little bit with that, the VR to go lab is it sent out VR headsets for all of our students, and so I bought 8 VR headsets and mailed them off to all of our ROAR students.
Wow.
And so they all now have an Oculus Go.
I want one of those, and I can't get them because you're stockpiling like toilet paper. I can't believe this.
I'm hoarding all of the VR headsets in America, pretty much. And so little things like we set up some times to be in a VR chat room together, and Michaela England has been incredible teaching our students, coaching them through how to set up a device that they've never used, and create a user, sync it to their phone, and log into a VR chat room and to go have a social experience. And we can all sit there in a virtual room together since we can't be in a actual room together. And next week we're going to try some job coaching in some of those rooms and do some mock interviews and see how that goes, as we're all little VR avatars. So, you know, it's been there've been a lot of challenges, and even though we started 2 weeks ahead of time, we got a lot more notice than some of my friends at other programs around the country who had about 24 hours notice that their university was shutting on-campus activities down. But even with that 2 week head start, 2 months still would have not been enough time to really make this transition in the best way, probably. But I think we're still learning, and the biggest thing that I'm excited to see is our students are handling it really well. They wake up every morning, they're in their 8 a.m. classes, zooming in the room, and they have a lot of the same questions we have. How long is it going to last? Are we going to be back in the fall? And so we try to have discussions around that and provide the best clear information that we can. So
Yeah, and you mentioned Michaela, and she is awesome, and I say that because she's from the same hometown as I am, so of course she's awesome. But she was about
Australia in the house.
Yeah, she was about the sixth or seventh person that you mentioned. So it's a testament to how many people are involved, how many people care about this program and are dedicated to making sure that it's successful. And I would just say kudos to you for helping lead the way. As somebody who would understand the sports ball, you're pinch hitting. You stepped up to the plate and you've knocked one out. So
I made a touchdown, right?
yeah. You hit one over the outfield wall for a touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, our sport management folks are going, "Oh my gosh!"
Kelsey is our other graduate.
Yeah.
Student who's doing an incredible job teaching both our health and wellness and our independent living class. And so they've been able to work on a lot of independent living, just independently living in their own homes now.
Right. Well, Don McMahon, thank you so much again. Congratulations on the promotion, well deserved. So August 1st will be an awesome day for you to be able to update that on your CV and on our website. But in the meantime, the good work didn't start August 1st. It started a long time ago for you, and it's a continual effort with ROAR online exclamation mark. So thank you so much. I appreciate you joining me for this, and and go Cougs.
Yeah, go Cougs.